Hey, you missed fish this summer. I missed fish this summer. I researched and the pros told me that I was supposed to use a straight shank flipping hook when I'm flipping, pitching, or punching, and I had a poor hooking percentage this year and I missed some fish. Hey, in this episode we're going to talk about the straight shank flipping hook and the EWG, and we're also later in the video going to reveal a secret technique. I call it a secret technique because it's not very prevalent right now. It's gotten out and it makes a ton of sense, and I'll show you that too. So first off, I want to talk a little bit about the hooks. The hook I'm talking about is the straight shanked flipping hook, and I've got one here from 6th Sense, and I am in no way, shape, or form knocking 6th Sense. I'm not even really knocking the hook. I'm just suggesting that it's not going to work in all circumstances the best, and it hasn't for me. But I'm talking about the photo I ripped up earlier, a straight shanked flipping hook, and it's just got a straight shank and it's got a keeper on it. And the way that thing performs when you tie a snell knot on it, and I'll put an image of a snell knot up on the screen, but when you put that snell knot on it and you've got your flipping weight on it, and in my case I've got a 3/4 inch weight on some line here for you, is it actually pops up. And I'll put a picture, see if I can see it here. Yeah, when it becomes tight, the hook actually goes up, you know, fairly close to about a 30-40 degree angle from the hook itself. So whenever it gets tight, that pops up, and that's supposed to get you good penetration into the fish's mouth. What I found this past summer though is that my hookup percentages weren't very good. And I had tied one up for my son, and I see him back in the back of the boat untying it. I'm like, Alex, what are you doing? I got you all set up to go. I got a nice, you know, flipping hook on there for you. He's like, I don't like that hook. And, you know, I thought about it, and you know, for a second, and I thought, well, he clearly didn't watch all the YouTube videos I watched. So he's back there changing out to an EWG style, and I'm sticking with the flipping hook. And what I noticed was I was missing some fish. I was you know, detecting some bites, reeling back and setting the hook, and not getting bit, and maybe 30% of them I was missing. So what would happen is if I leaned into them a little bit and reeled up the slack and kind of pulled and felt the tightness and set the hook like that, then I could get hooked up. But I was missing some fish. And when you're fishing a reaction style method, you react and then you set the hook strong, you want to hook into the fish. And what I suspect is happening is when this big 3/4 inch or sometimes 1 ounce weight hits the fish's mouth and blows the fish's mouth open, and that hook is actually moving in a direction opposite, you know, completely opposite of the weight and opposite of the fish's mouth. Once his mouth blows open and that hook point comes up, you've got zero chance almost of, in the right circumstance, of hooking him. So while this is supposed to buy you some hook sets, and I think maybe it can sometimes, there's a lot of other times when that big weight blows their mouth open and that hook can't get them. So that's the straight shank, and you'll notice one thing that does happen with the EWG style, and I've got that here on another 3/4 ounce weight right there. And when that thing comes up and gets tight, it actually stays. The knot pins up in the bottom of the hook, and that thing actually stays tight and straight. So I think you get better hookup with that setup than you do with the hook significantly moving, almost 90 degrees in that motion. When that weight blows through that fish's mouth, you need to catch whatever's close and tight and available in order to hook that fish properly. So I did not make the switch this year, and I will be making the switch coming up here because I won't miss fish that way. The other thing I didn't like about it is you're using, here's a bandito bug, you're using small baits. I use a Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Craw. I use, you know, 2 sizes of bandito bugs, and both of them are fairly small. And the way that straight shank hook, and I'll rig one up here real quick, the way that straight shank hook looks in them, and this is a 3/0, is it sits off to the side, and you've really got kind of a goofy profile. You know, you've got that everybody's seen it who's used this, but it's got kind of an unnatural looking profile. It widens the whole thing out, and then when you get to some resistance, that weight hits something and that hook drives through, it's automatically hung up in weeds. I've hooked fish, then weeds, and had the massive weeds I've got make it difficult to get the fish in or get the fish off. So I really don't like how it hangs. I've got here you know, a Gamakatsu Superline EWG hook, a 3/0 here to match the size of these baits. I'll put that on, and that's got even, you know, a little more natural profile to it. If you rig it up in kind of standard fashion there, Texposed, it's got just a better, cleaner profile to get through those weeds than that unnatural angle that the straight shank hook is going in there. The thing that I talked about in the beginning of the video that could be more of a secret is actually rigging up that EWG style hook with a ring. And here I have a snap ring, a good snap ring on. They actually sell hooks that have a welded ring on them, but with that ring on them, this, you know, you've got the hook on the ring tied to the knot, and then you've got your 3/4 ounce weight here, for instance, and it gets you that same lock. But you'll notice when I lock, it's not, that hook is still swinging around. Let me see if I can get a good, see how that lock, that hook can still swing freely on the bottom of that. So the ring gets up tight against the bottom of the weight, but the hook can still move in any direction freely on the bottom of the weight. That can be critical for the action of that bait as you pull it up to the top of a mat, as you get hung up on a stick or a log. That bait is still moving freely, and it's not like in the case of the straight shank, wadded up and tight at an angle, at a strange angle, or in the case of just the unringed EWG, locking in place straight at the bottom of the hook. So I don't see a lot of circumstances, because think about it, when you're heavy flipping, you're usually punching through a mat, using a heavy weight, punching through a mat, and you'll come up to the top of the mat because bluegills will suspend under the tops of mats, and they will suspend up under the tops of lily pads. I don't see many cases where you wouldn't be using this ringed style setup with your Texas rig just about in all circumstances, whether you're just pitching around to sparse cover or whether you're punching heavy cover. I'm going to switch completely to this ringed approach. I think you're going to get more bites, you've got more maneuverability and more natural presentation at the bottom of that particular pad. So the moral of this story is you can find a lot of good information, a lot of good fishing information on YouTube, but you've got to listen to the results. I should have listened to my son. He's back there. I'm like, what's he switching out I tied everything up for him already. What's he switching it all out for? Well, he was listening to the missing of the fish. And I was listening to well, I watched all the videos and everybody says you have to use this flipping hook. And so it cost me fish. And it won't cost me anymore. Making the adjustment, and I think I'll have better presentations out there. So hope you found this useful. Try that out. Get yourself either a high quality split ring, or get yourself the brands out there, and I'll throw a couple of them up here that have the welded included ring on the hook itself for this particular methodology. There's only a couple of them. You're probably going to see more, because you're going to see more people using this style of setup for just about all of their Texas rigging. So thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time on the water.